Have you ever wondered what Love is Blind would be like if a deaf person was a contestant? I mean, The Circle officially had a deaf person in its last season. Why not Love is Blind? And Love is Blind did a casting in Charlotte and probably already wrapped up the season, or at least is in post by now. So, no, I'm not on it. But could you imagine if somehow a deaf contestant was on it? That's exactly what I was thinking when I saw the Instagram post like over a year ago. I wanted to make this video a year ago when I first saw it. I never did. But it's just as I was watching it, I kept thinking, because, okay, let's backtrack. Love is Blind is a reality TV show, is a dating reality TV show about two people who date, who do speed dating essentially, in two separate rooms with a wall between them. So you don't see them, you only hear them. The whole purpose is if love is blind and you just fall in love with someone, get engaged, and then eventually married just by hearing them. Okay, you get engaged first and then you hang out, you know, as an engaged couple in real life, in person, before you actually decide to get married. But it's just been so interesting to me, and I've just been like, how would that ever happen if a deaf person was on there? Because I'm wondering, even if somebody like myself, who is mostly oral, I grew up mainstream, like mainstream to the max, mainstream, and not even with hearing aids until recent years, like 2 years ago, actually. So if a fully or mostly oral deaf person who would have hearing aids or even a cochlear implant, how well would that work out? Because you know, you're not really supposed to explain what you look like in any way, shape, or form, because it's not the point. So I almost feel like you wouldn't mention if you were deaf, and there would be often times where you probably wouldn't understand what they're saying if you could even hear them very well to begin with. Would casting ever bite the bullet and cast a deaf person on this show? Like a fully signing person? Can you imagine having an interpreter there? And it would take so long to have a conversation. Well, not that long to have a conversation, but longer than usual because interpreting has to happen. And obviously they would edit all of that out so you wouldn't have to see all that in real time. Now if an oral deaf person who doesn't know ASL, can you imagine putting captions on the screen in a wall? Would they have a captioner get involved with that? I'm just trying to imagine how it could work. Because I know me, I would be having my ear against the wall like this and I'd still be like, okay, I don't really know what's going on right now. It'll probably never happen. But the idea of it happening is kind of funny to me. And now I kind of really want them to do that. Because I just want to see what kind of accessibility arrangements they would make happen. For The Circle, when Raven was on it, Paris was with her. Paris was interpreting for Raven. But the whole thing was, it's a completely different, I feel like it's a bad comparison to make because they're two completely different shows. And The Circle is literally all text-based anyway, so like, it was already kind of more accessible to begin with, you know, just Raven signs, so you needed some way to speak out loud for her, so the typers would be able to put that text in. I really just want to know how that could happen. Do you think maybe if I emailed them, if I could even find an email, we could just have a nice fun little conversation about it? This isn't me saying, yo, we need representation on Love is Blind. Get deaf representation on Love is Blind, like I said that for The Circle because I thought it would be so fun for The Circle. For Love is Blind, I feel like that would be extremely awkward. Cause you know that show Married at First Sight? It's like Love is Blind, but they really take that extra step because you're just going straight to the altar, never seeing this person, don't know their name, don't know nothing, and you're getting married right there. Now, if you had a deaf person on Married at First Sight, that would definitely be interesting. Have an interpreter follow the bride or the groom that's deaf, or have the interpreter actually already just standing there and they'd be like, who's this random extra person? I guess it's not really Married at First Sight so much if they find that out ahead of time. I would want to see that. That's not mean, is it? Because I feel like, well, like mean in the sense because if that were to happen, it would be probably extremely awkward to watch because somebody is very likely going to be a deer in headlights. Actually, can you imagine if the other person did know ASL on Married at First Sight? That would actually be really funny. I can imagine them putting two people that they think are compatible, one deaf, one hearing, and they're like, oh, this person knows ASL, so we'll pair them up. Could you imagine if on Love is Blind, the other person in the pod happens to know ASL, but they can't use it? What if there was a way, I don't know if this is possible, but if somehow they were able to see hands. You can't see faces, but you can see hands. I feel like that would be really awkward because ASL is very heavy on facial expressions, so that's part of the whole gist with the language. Facial expressions are literally a part of the grammar of ASL, or really of sign language in general. So adjusting hands wouldn't really work. For the record, this is not a serious thesis on the show. I'm just blabbing. This was like a fun little conversation to have because I feel like I mentioned this on Twitter a long time ago and like we were just like laughing about it because we're just like, I do wonder. Like just imagine what would happen. No, I do not want to be part of that experiment. You could not pay me to be on Love is Blind. Well, how much, does anybody know how much they're getting paid? Somebody's getting paid. Might depend on how much money. But you know, I'm in the film industry in parts and I know how editing works and how editing can really turn things around in ways that aren't so good. So I don't know if I really want to take that risk in terms of reality shows. And I know that because I've been in a documentary once. So I know how it works. So that's, the thought of that just kind of frightens me, even if it would be a very interesting experiment to do as a disabled person, as a deaf person, as an accessibility consultant, just to see how this would work on Love is Blind. Can we get a deaf contestant on any of the Netflix reality dating shows just for my curiosity? Yeah? I don't know, but hey, if you have any possible theories, I would really like to know. I don't know, I just think that this is a fun conversation to have. Listen, the world sucks. Let's have some weird, wonky, fun conversations, okay? So leave those down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this content, if you would like to support the content and get extra content that's just about shows and writing and, you know, whatever, other accessibility stuff, things that I do have a Patreon page. So for as low as $1 a month, you can get access to lots of things. I'll have that link down below. If there's a different option that you're looking for that doesn't require you to go out of the page, there is a super chat down here. It's like the tip jar for YouTube, so that would also be appreciated if you would like. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell as well so you don't miss out on future uploads, and I will see you later. But also, thank you for watching this video. I should say that before I say bye. And now I'll see you later. Okay, bye.